So, welcome everyone. I hope everyone can hear me, and I'm very happy to welcome you to this first Build Your Future E Lab webinar of a series of 10. So this is the first webinar, and I'm Jochen Schell. I'm the director of the YEP International Resource Center, which is going to be renamed to YEP Europe in 1 week, but that's a different story. I'm your host today, and before I introduce you to our speaker today, I wanted to give you some information about technical details and also about us, the YEP International Resource Center. So we are basically an NGO at the center of a network, the YEP Community Network, and it's a network composed of communities and NGOs, organizations working with the YEP approach and methodology of youth and community empowerment. And we will send you some links at the end of this webinar so you can get to our website and find out more about us. So it's called the Build Your Future E Labs, and Build Your Future, also some words on Build Your Future. It was basically an Erasmus Plus funded program which lasted from 2015 to 2017, and it basically consisted of us implementing and developing a social entrepreneurship course for marginalized young people. And just 1 second. I have some background noise here. So basically in this program, Build Your Future, we developed a social entrepreneurship course for marginalized young people. As I said, it's available online for free, and you can see the website afterwards. And two important aspects about this program were, first of all, the locally implemented course in 7 countries in Europe, and also what we call the entrepreneurship labs. And entrepreneurship labs were basically events where young people met local entrepreneurs, entrepreneurship experts, and they were able to exchange with them, to learn from them. And in a way, these webinars we are running now, they are an extension of these Build Your Future entrepreneurship labs. So you will today and in our future 9 webinars get inspired by entrepreneurship experts, by entrepreneurs. They will tell their success and failures. They will basically inspire you, and you will learn from them. These 10 webinars are based on a program, so they also have didactic basically sense where we go from one webinar where the topics are interlinked, basically. Also important is that you will be able to get a certificate if you participate in 80% of these webinars. So we issue a certificate. And this is basically it as an introduction. Some technical information. Basically, the functions you have as a listener, as a participant, are the chat. So you can chat, ask, make comments, ask questions in the chat. You have also the Q&A button. You should see it at the bottom of your page. You can ask questions to the speaker. We will go into the questions at the end of this call. So it will be about 40 minutes with our speaker, Johannes Lindner. And at the end, we take 10 to 15 minutes to go into your questions. What else? There will be polls we will be launching, so you can click the answers if you wish. That will happen during the call, and it will also be recorded, and we will send you the recording of this webinar. Hands up, you should also have a function hands up. So we might ask you certain questions where we want to know from you if you belong to a certain group or whatever the question is. So you can use that function hands up. I think I gave all the information about technical issues. Here is already Johannes. I'm very honored and happy to have you with us, Johannes. Some information on Johannes. He's the head of the Department of Entrepreneurship Education and the Center for Value-Based Business Education at University Teacher College in Vienna and Krems. He's also an entrepreneurship and business educator at the Schumpeter Commercial College. He's the founder and the head of the Initiative for Teaching Entrepreneurship Austria and of the Center of Entrepreneurship Education in Austria. He's also an author of several books in entrepreneurship, business and economics. He's an Ashoka Fellow since 2012, the first one in Austria, and the list goes on. If I forgot something very important, Johannes, just let us know. And as I said, we are very, very happy to have you with us today. And I give you the floor now, and we'll be listening to your session. And thanks again for being with us.
Thanks for the invitation. Yeah, I'm proud that we will stay together for the next time. Jochen, do you see the presentation now? Is it fine? Is it working?
You should launch the first slide.
Yeah, do you see it?
But we see all the slides.
Okay, that's fine. Good. What I'm planning to...
Perfect.
Perfect, thank you. You see the topic of the session is Follow Your Dreams, Youth Empowerment through Entrepreneurship Learning. And I will give you a short overview what I'm planning to do for the next 40 minutes. And then I will ask you some questions just to check up where you are. Does this really fit to your needs? Okay. When I'm talking about entrepreneurship, I'm like to use a slide or pictures from mountains, because when you are thinking about your dreams, it's very good that you are losing and leaving away your problems from your daily life in the valleys, and you're maybe climbing up to some of the mountains, to some peaks, to have a better overview what is really important for you and where you would appreciate to go. And because sometimes when we see only the problems in our regular daily life, we are not open for a change. What if youth could make a difference through entrepreneurship? And this is the major question which I like to foster with this presentation, with this webinar. And I will do it with 3 points. The first point is that I like to explain what is entrepreneurship. And for me, it would be now important to know who of you do know something about entrepreneurship, and what do you know about entrepreneurship? Anyone maybe gives a sign, or maybe you can write down something. Do you know something about entrepreneurship or not? If you're an entrepreneurship expert, then I will not explain so much. If you're not, then maybe I will explain something about this.
So maybe people can raise their hands
yeah,
for the first question and use the chat of more details on their knowledge.
Okay, how can I see the hands?
On panelists, participants, you can click
yeah.
We see here one raised hand so far.
Hello, Angelica. And the hands means that you know something about entrepreneurship.
Yes.
Or you are, okay. And that way, 3 hands. Oh no, there are more. Very good. Here's some more hands. Oh, the most of the hands are up. And that way. Maybe that's very good. It means 50% have hands up, the other 51 not. Okay, we'll explain it a bit. The major point what I like to stress in this webinar is how can I develop an own idea? How youngsters can do this? And my third question will be, what are the next steps when you have your own question? Good. The pictures, I made all of them the last summer. Hopefully you like them. Entrepreneurship. The term entrepreneurship is going back to the beginning of the 20th century. The term entrepreneur is much more older. It's a French word which was used quite a long time just to explain that an entrepreneur is a businessman or a businesswoman. It was the same definition. Entrepreneur in entrepreneurship. And entrepreneur mean in this time just the word, this is an entrepreneur, is a businessman or businesswoman. We are using today the term entrepreneur in a different way. 1911, Josef Schumpeter did write a book and wanted to explain how a society is dynamic. And he explained everyone can be an entrepreneur who has an own idea and knows how to realize this own idea. And for him, an entrepreneur could be the head of an Indiana head camp, a major of a town, could be the head of a kolkhoz, several different options. And he said, not automatically each businessman or businesswoman is automatically an entrepreneur. Is this better?
Yes.
Good. The first small task for you is, please write down an idea which you really like, an idea which gives you a positive impact in your life, which is changing something in your life, or an idea which you had and where you are working on. Just write down an idea. Maybe you write down it in the webinar chat, just to see that there are existing several ideas. Maybe the coffee in the morning or a cup of water, what you like to drink, an idea that you like the cup or maybe the water. What else? On the presentation, you see an idea which I like a lot. It's called Wadi. Wadi is an idea which is going back to Martin Lesiam. He was around in the 20s, in the mid-20s, when he made a travel to South America. And in South America, he got cholera. And this was, of course, a tremendous problem for him. And he got cholera because he was drinking dirty water. When he was back in Europe, he's a technician, he said that's a tremendous problem in the region. So many people are getting illness out of dirty water or have a lot to work to clean it up by collecting wood and so on. And he realized with an ordinary plastic bottle, you can clean up water when you put it into the sun. But there is one challenge. The people did never know when it's clean enough to drink it. And therefore, he produced this small box which you can put on the plastic bottle, which is very, very cheap. And when there are 5 smileys on it, then it means the water is clean and you can drink it. It's a very simple system, very robust. Which ideas do you like? Any ideas? Please write down some ideas in the chat which you really like. You see there is an airplane, you see there is some medicine, there's a chair. Oh, you see the idea of women rights on the slide. Or you see a bike, which is going back quite a long time ago. Any ideas which you like? Please write down it. Internet, perfect. Airplanes. Very comfortable when we like to go around to other places which are more far away. Someone is vegan and a very particular orientation, which kind of food we are eating. All ideas are made by humans. all these ideas. Very good. There is a very nice idea that you take care on people who are sad, who needs a reaction. We see there are some ideas, the democratic governance, the democracy, kids workshops. We have to see that all these ideas were created by humans. Democracy is not an automatism that we have it in our society. Someone had the idea, the power to realize it, and then it was done. The internet was an idea which was developed in military contexts, and then it was split off over the whole world. There's a lot of ideas, but there are very different ways how we are able to realize them. Once again, entrepreneurs are people who have an idea and to realize them. Entrepreneurship is the process, how you are getting ideas and how you are realizing these ideas. In the field of entrepreneurship education, we speak, therefore, from three different levels of entrepreneurship education. We say the core entrepreneurship education is how can you develop a new idea? And how can you, everybody, realize it? That has a lot to do with emancipation, that everybody is learning this, because we know that a high percentage of young people normally do not believe that they have own ideas, and therefore they do not learn how to realize them. Therefore, we need a second level, and the second level we call entrepreneurial culture. For us, this means the passion and inspiration. We need a lot of passion and inspiration. Everybody has this possibility to give this kind of energy to someone else, and to get energy. We have a really tremendous possibility to do this. The third level, we call it entrepreneurial civic education, and this means we are not only individuals. We are part of a community. Therefore, it's important that we also see with our ideas, we can give solidarity to the society. Therefore, we have three levels of entrepreneurship education: core, culture, and civic education. Good. This is a very short introduction to the term entrepreneurship. Here you see our rocket, which we are using as a logo. And there you find what is an entrepreneurship process going on. You're finding inspiration, you're looking for an idea, you're creating an entrepreneurial design for the idea, you start a project where you get a proof of concept and so on. You have your first experience, hopefully of success, not so much failure. You get empowered, you have a value where you're like, and the output of that is that you have a can-do mentality. You know your self-efficacy. You know that you can do something. And this is something what we can learn several times with small things in the beginning and maybe later on with larger ones. Good. How can I develop an own idea? How can I develop an own idea? I would appreciate that you take a look to these 9 cycles. You see 9 cycles. Maybe you choose one of the cycles and you explain me what you see. Choose one of the cycles and explain me what you see. Maybe you type it down in the web webinar, or Jochen, is it possible that we can hear some of the colleagues?
Unfortunately not. They cannot speak,
okay.
But they can use the chat. Yes.
Okay. Maybe you write down and explain what do you see. Don't be that shy. Perfect. The middle one is the robots. Part of a crossroad. City parts. It's an egg. Good. This is a very small exercise which should help you to see when we want to create new ideas, it's important that we see more than we are only seeing, that we are jumping out of the box. When you give an explanation that you see, for instance, the pencils, then you could see only that what you really see. One time a student explained me when she saw this small painting, she is seeing a couple, a girl and a boy, they are driving skiing and they're just kissing, therefore they have a mix of these kiss. And when you see a wider picture than just the real what you see, you're a more open-minded person. And it's important when we want to create ideas that we are an open-minded person, that we see wider pictures. Not only that small picture, small view what we just see. And maybe we are doing another small exercise. And that way, I will not hear you, but I would highly appreciate when everybody of you is speaking really loud what we are now doing. Jochen, maybe you're participating because you are the one who can speak. Read each word loud. How is it written here? 1, 2, 3, all together. Blue, green, yellow,
red, green,
red, blue,
red, green, yellow, blue.
Blue. Exactly. This was simple. Now we are doing it a bit differently. And now you will feel that everybody of us will get problems because we will speak now loud the color which is there and not what is written there. 1, 2, 3. Red, yellow, blue, green,
red, yellow,
red,
green, blue,
yellow, blue, red. You see that our head is getting confused and said, it's wrong what you are speaking. It's not here. There is something else mentioned here. It's not that what you're saying. This is thinking outside of the box. That we have a more serious side in us and a more creative side. And we need to push our creative side that we are more open-minded persons. And that's not easy because we are creating structures which makes our life in some fields much more easier. Therefore, we have to find also ways how we can open our own personality to be more creative. Good. These are very small exercises. There are existing several like this, where you can take a closer look, where you can support the creativity of the individual person. Good. There I brought you 4 pictures. And I would appreciate that you take a closer look to the different 4 pictures. And the first thing is, what do you see? What do you see? Maybe you can write down, what do you see? 4 pictures, and on each of the you can choose each of the pictures. What do you see on the pictures? Do you see food? Very good. Yeah, it's a wax figure. It's Einstein. It's a wax figure out of a museum in Barcelona. It's a fashion man. Okay. Food, mountains, graffiti. Good. There are existing different ways how we can get new ideas. One way is that the idea is coming out of us. The other way is that we are able to see opportunities. And one possibility to see opportunities is to see problems which are around us. And I would appreciate that you now take a different focus to the 4 pictures, that you see which kind of problem could exist there. Which kind of problem could you see? And which kind of problem is maybe also an opportunity? Which kind of problem could you see? Maybe we choose the mountains, the valley. Which kind of problem could exist in an area where you see these beautiful mountains, these green grassroots? environment, age, food, security, spaces and places. That's good. Number one, no new idea. Number one, you see an old person, and an old person could get a lot of different problems. Oh, perfect. Mountains, no internet connection. Could be one problem, what you see. Mountains or the valley area, very difficult that you can consume maybe something because there are not many shops. Maybe you are far away from the next place. Hard to reach other places. Maybe you are lonely because you're not meeting that often other people. And we could probably collect, maybe it's too expensive to stay there. I know this valley very good. It's the valley, it's called Pinzgau, it's in Salzburg. It's not that expensive to live there. It's probably cheaper in contrast to several cities. But when we want to create ideas, it's important that we see two very different ways how we can create ideas. The one way is that we are inspired by our own ideas, or the other one is that we see opportunities. And one way to see opportunities is to be open for problems which are around us, because maybe some of these problems I could solve with a new idea. Changing my hairstyle, that's a good point. Good. I'd like to explain you with the idea canvas now the first element. We all have an internal orientation. We all have some dreams, some jobs, some hobbies. And I would appreciate if you write down now, do you have any dreams in your life? Is there anything what you really like to do? You like to be a perfect writer, you love painting, you have a very special hobby, what you really like a lot. Maybe you want to be a musician, an actor. Please write down it. Ride bike around France. Very good. Be my own boss. A very typical dream could be that you want meditation, spiritual work, traveling around the world. That's a very good one, traveling around the world. When you are traveling around the world and you would appreciate it to say, oh yeah, I like to travel around the world, you could find out, is there any possibility, any opportunity, what I could do when I love to travel around the world? Some years ago, some Australian guys, they really love to travel around the world, and they were traveling half a year around, and they were writing a book, a very small book, where they write down all the experiences, all the places where you can go in the place where they were going, all the hotels and so on. And it was the first Lonely Planet guide. It's an Australian guide. Today it's a very large publishing house, but it was going back to the dream that someone particularly wanted to travel around. You have the dream, a basic income for all, but this is not an internal one, which you want to do for yourself. That's for the whole community. That is maybe much more difficult that you can realize it. Therefore, it's important to have a dream for yourself, what you would like to do. That's one very important orientation for internal ideas. You have a dream, you want to be a musician, and you find out ways, how could I realize this? Lionel Messi, he was a small agency guy, and he always wanted to be a soccer star. And we all know that he was more than successful to reach this. That's an internal way to develop an idea. Another internal way is that you have a hobby which you really like. Here you see the marathon in Vienna, and the marathon in Vienna was created by a guy who did just love to run marathons. And and he had one tremendous problem with that in the past, because he did know that with marathon you do not get a lot of sponsors, because it's not was in our country and not that attractive sport for sponsors. then you realized, okay, when I would create a marathon in my own town, then I would be able that a lot of other people participate in marathon. I can earn money, and so I can realize my hobby for the rest of the year. And so I can run another marathons in other cities. Today, we have thousands of people who are participating in the marathon in Vienna, and he has a regular income. Now, not only he, there's a lot of people now in WOOF to organize the marathon in Vienna. Is there any hobby which you are doing? You're collecting stamps, you're collecting different things. Maybe you are gardening, maybe you're gardening very, very special flowers, anything where you see this is something what you really like to do, and where there is maybe a possible idea where you could make more out of that. These are the two internal ways. The two internal ways, they are working very different in contrast, because with the internals, the start is the person. The start, we are the starting condition. We have a dream, we have a hobby, where we want to find a way that it could be more than a hobby. And that way it means we have this idea, and we are checking the market, how it could be an opportunity, that we can realize it and that we can do more than it. That's the so-called internal way to realize an idea. Now we are going to the external way. The external way means that we see an opportunity, like the pictures before. You become aware of a problem. On the pictures, you see a lot of problems. When you take a look to the newspapers, to the daily news, you could see all the time some opportunities, some problems where you think, well, maybe I could solve this problem, partly. Or you read something about a change. There's coming a new law in the region. For instance, some years ago in Vienna, there was allowed that houses can be built by wood. And some friends immediately founded a company for wood, to build houses with wood. This is particularly useful when you want to create a passive energy house. You can also read a lot of trends which are going on: wellness trend, more health food, organic food, that the people are traveling more around to other places, that and so on. This could be an opportunity for a new idea. Someone mentioned before internet. Technical developments can offer a lot of opportunities. There are thousands of ideas which are based that there is a new opportunity going on. The most difficult one is that you see an opportunity because you can do something better than someone who is doing this now. And that way you see an opportunity in the field of competition. To summarize it again, we can see there are two ways how you can develop an idea. The one way, there is the catalysator, the person with the individual idea, which is based on a dream or is based on a hobby, which you maybe could create a job out of that. When you have this idea, then you are looking, could I use it and create an opportunity on the market? The external way to develop an idea, it means in the beginning point, there are opportunities. You see an opportunity because there is a problem which you see in the society. There is a technical development, there is a change, a new trend, a new law, or you see an opportunity because you could do something better than someone who is doing this now. So we see on the beginning, you see an opportunity. And now you develop an idea for some of these opportunities. And I will bring now some examples, and I would highly appreciate when you also think about different examples for the different ways how you could maybe create an idea. Good. A lot of youngsters, a lot of people are able to develop an idea because they are solving a problem. On this picture, you see a picture from the agency for, oh, I see there's a mistake in the word. I can do. You see a picture and you see, what do you see? Yeah, what do you see here? Which kind of problem are soluted? Which kind of problems maybe are soluted? What could you see on the picture? You see a different way how you could create energy. Good, it's one problem. We know that we need more energy, probably and you see a very, very different way of working. You see probably the guys who are the best paid people who just are cleaning up something. And they are therefore best paid because when you are doing this, there is still wind. Therefore it's dangerous on the one hand. And the other hand, with these climbers who are cleaning up the machines, they do not need to make any construction, which would be the alternative, which would be a very cost-intensive alternative. That's a new kind of job. Someone saw, oh, they are building new ways to create energy, but how they will clean up this in the future, how they can making small reparations, and so on. This is a new kind of job which is maybe existing now some years. The people who are doing this are normally people who have this kind of experience based on mountain climbing. And therefore it's fantastic to see they were able to solve this kind of problems because they were able to use a qualification which they had for a total different way for this field. Do you see anything problem where you could see a solution? We are now jumping to the second way. You want to create an idea and just let us do it. We want to see ideas which are existing. How can you do this? Just go to another country, to another place, and you will see a lot of things which are different. Some ideas you are missing, which you think they are working well in your area. And some things are organized totally different in this area. And you could think, okay, maybe I can bring this home and would have a solution for a problem for a technical development, which I'm seeing in this area where I'm now. I think everybody of you know this energy drink. This energy drink was a well-known drink in Thailand and in Japan. When the founder of Red Bull saw it there, he realized, oh, that's a very high taxpayer in this region, and it's a product which he didn't know, this kind of energy drink. Therefore, he thought, well, this should be also successful in the total different region. The fantastic and funny thing was that his company where he was working said, oh no, we are not interested in this product. And he was looking quite carefully around other investors for this. No one was interested. So he said, I will do it by my own. Today we know it was more than successful, but to go back, he saw an idea in a different context, in a different area, and brought this idea to a different area. And saw it could work also there. We know that he changed also something of the marketing aspects, which is probably also helpful. Oh, for sure, it was helpful. Second, transforming an existing idea. Bring it from a region to your region. Make a new combination. There you see the Betts figures. Do anyone know why the Betts figures were originally developed? In which kind of combination do we see here? Which kind of combination do you see? And do you know why there are this kind of Betts figures are existing? Who created these Betts ideas? Why? Hopefully you all know the Betts. Today, there are two target groups for the Betts. The one target group are kids. They like to play with it. And when you open up a Betts figure, there is something sweet inside. There's a sugar inside, which is quite popular to have this sweet sugar. Okay, medicine dispenser. Yeah, the funny idea of the Betts figures originally was It was a help that people who stopped to smoke, when they wanted to give a gas to the, or fire to the cigarette, that they should use pets, and in contrast that to give fire to the cigarette, they take out something sweet and eat this. It didn't work out. But it worked out, this kind of combination that you had something to play and something sweet. It's a funny combination. And combinations are sometimes very successful when you see an opportunity. For instance, you see internet, and in the original phase, when you can think back, there were then existing several internet cafes and so on. Combinations are sometimes very good. When you go to some regions in the world, you see very good bookshops, and they have a coffee house inside because they like to bring the people to the books. And we know that people like to drink coffee. When they see also the books, then maybe you can sell some more. It's a nice combination, new combinations. Third idea, creation possibilities, combination of ideas. The fourth one, okay. The fourth one, which we like to use now, is do something total different than it was done in the past. Some years ago in Europe, the field of watches was that the average European had 2 watches in the whole life. And the funny thing was that the companies who were producing the watches said, okay, then we create more expensive watches. But it was not working out anymore that good. Then there was a Mr. Hayek. He said, when he had an orientation to the shoe which his wife was owning, why his wife was owning not only 2 pairs of shoes, like 2 watches. She was owning 50 or 60 pairs of shoes. And he said, a watch should be a fashion product. And therefore he created watches which are a fashion product. You can make many combinations. And we know today watches are bought in a very different way. Do something against the routine, how it is done. User innovation is a very useful way how you can organize an idea. One more. And let us summarize now. We have 2 different ways how we can create an idea, the internal and the external. The internal is coming out from us. Everybody of us has a dream, a vision, has a hobby. And maybe this is the first step that we are able to create an idea. With that idea, we can check, is there a possibility on the market that I can use it to create a part-time job, a full-time job, to create something useful for the society? Or the second way is that I see an opportunity. I see an opportunity because I see there is a new trend going on in the society. There is going on a new law. There is a new technology development, or I see a tremendous problem, environmental pollution. And for that, I try to create an idea because I see there is this opportunity and there would be people willing to participate. This is the so-called idea canvas, which gives you an orientation for the different ways of existing possibilities. When you have an idea canvas, the next logical step, in my opinion, would be that you try to create a so-called entrepreneurial design. An entrepreneurial design is that you say, what is the value of my idea? How could I realize it? And for one idea, there are existing for sure 100 different possible ways how you can realize it. And therefore, it's important, particularly for young people, for everybody of us, when we do not have that much money, we need to be more clever. Like the book from Günther Falting, Kopf schlägt Kapital, we need to be more smart in contrast to money. The third element is that we know the different costs and revenues. And the fourth element is ecological and social sensitivity. These are the 4 parts of an entrepreneurial design, in my opinion. Good. When you want to know more about what we are doing, you could take a look to our website, Entrepreneurship, youthstart.eu. There we have a couple of materials and support for you. Anyway, if you want to get in contact with me, I have a Facebook and the LinkedIn, Johannes Lindner, Vienna, and there you see again the website. Jochen, you want to take over? I see, sir.
Thank you very much, Johannes. Basically, what we wanted to do at the end of this session is to have a Q&A session where people can ask questions to you, and we would like to invite all attendees who have questions to use the Q&A form, or you can just write it into the chat as well. So thank you very much for this very inspiring presentation, Johannes. And please, out there, ask your questions. We have 10 minutes, which is quite some time, where we can get into either things in the presentation of Johannes or other questions related to entrepreneurship. So let's give them a minute. Maybe I ask you a question, Johannes.
Sure.
I mean, we are very active in this as well, in entrepreneurship learning with young people. And of course, there's this phrase you hear all the time, which is entrepreneurship is not for everyone, and not everybody should be an entrepreneur. It's quite risky. You shouldn't push young people into this. What is your stand on this?
Yeah, in my opinion, I want to bring you an example. In Austria, we have a ski jumper. Schlierenzauer is his name. And you could also say not everybody should jump ever ski jumping. And when you ask him, is it risky what you are doing? You get a very funny answer from him. He would say, no, it's not risky. Because I did start very early. I started with 3 years and I had to make small jumps. And I was inspired to go on. And therefore, when I'm jumping now 100 or 200 meters, I know how to handle the risk. And I think that's the important thing. When we want to do something entrepreneurial, we should start with small ideas to get ourselves in vacancy and to know which kind of risks are existing. We should not jump immediately in very large things, which are maybe very risky, and where we do not see all the risks. Therefore, I think it's a development process. And it's good to try things on a regular basis, and everybody in that way can increase his capacity, his knowledge, and his passion also, that he sees which things he is really inspired to do.
Great, thank you very much. Let's see if we have more questions. Not for now. Maybe you would like to add something while we're waiting. The people are a little bit shy. Let's give them another minute. Would you like to add something? Because this was obviously very rushed. We only have 40 minutes for this, but something you maybe wanted to mention and you didn't get to mention.
When people ask me why is entrepreneurship an important topic for young people, I also want normally to explain there are 3 reasons why entrepreneurship, in my opinion, is an important element in our society, or should be a more important element. The first explanation, which I like to give, is it has a lot to do with social inclusion. It has a lot to do with that we need to learn how we can participate in the society. And with entrepreneurship, with an emancipation-oriented process and approach, you are able to learn this. The second aspect is that in many families, we have only 1 kid, and 1 kid means that there's a lot of service for this 1 kid. And we need to find ways that everybody in the society can learn this. We called it sometimes, when we have this 1 kid or 1.5 kids, that it's a generation of princesses and princes. And when we want that these kids know how to participate, we need to give them the chance to do this and not to service them all the time. And the third one is the social or society-oriented explanation. Our society needs people who are willing to participate, because we are the society. No one else is the society. And when we are not willing to participate in the society, to bring our ideas, then this is something that we will miss. We need people who are willing to have ventures. We need people who are creating jobs. And we need people who are doing this in the different areas. Entrepreneurship is not only a business-oriented thing. It's also important for youth workers. It's important for education. It's for science. Important for the religion area. For the democracy. We need people who bring new ideas. There are different ways and rules in the different areas. In the democracy, of course, you need to argue why this is important, and that other people are participating. That's it.
Thank you very much. This leads maybe also to the next question from Alex here. How is entrepreneurship connected to voluntary work, and how do we combine those two? Maybe a difficult question, but
no, in my opinion, it's voluntary work is, in my opinion, a very good way how you can learn to participate in an idea which is existing. We call this also service learning. That someone who he sees a problem and he realizes, oh, perfect, there is someone working to solve this problem. When you are going to an environmental NGO or whatever, and you see that they are working in this field, and therefore I'm interested to bring my time there and to support them. And you learn how someone else had an idea and how you can participate, and you integrate the crowd. When you ever want to have an own idea and realize, you also have to learn how to support the crowd, that they are willing to participate in your idea. I think that's a very important element. In my, we call this voluntary work, we integrate this in our entrepreneur civic education approach.
Okay, great. I see here 2 more questions. You can also see them in the chat. Here from Vernon, starting small bite-sized steps is great for young people to be incentivized to do something for the first time. I'm concerned that the funding available to kickstart such activity to build trust is not much in evidence. Lots of rhetoric and big words. Something to say about that?
I think when you want that youngsters are starting with someone, maybe sometimes it's better to have limited resources than to see that all is possible and you can get. Maybe an investment of €5, that's the capital for the first small thing what they could do. And you say that's your resources, how could you do it? And then also youngsters are learning that they will be not able to finance all and everything by themselves. They need to integrate their own small network and to bring people inside when they want to realize something. And I think that's it's an important thing. When we want to realize something and we realize that we do not have that much capital, we need to involve our network that we can get things done.
Okay, thank you for this. There's another one from Pepe, I think in Sweden. How to motivate young people at the beginning, especially of the process, when there is a lot of work but not too much output. So the motivation of young people, this is where you are an expert. So
yeah, in my opinion, I see that the most young people have 2 orientations where they can get easily ideas. The one is that they are solving partly a problem, or the other one is user innovation. And I think for youngsters, it would be inspiring when you say, this semester, we want to work on that problem. How could we partly be a part of a solution? And the solutions, and that's important, should be small things, particularly when they are doing this in the first round, because that you also have the feeling that fits to the time which they are really able to invest in the beginning, because the youngsters should also have the opportunity that they see some successes. Just to bring an example, I saw one time a very nice project from some youngsters. They realized there was a lot of refugees, a lot of kids who did not speak a lot, not very good the language. And some of them had the idea to say, okay, we take care on some kids and we are reading with them. And they were able to inspire a lot of other people who were also willing to go to elementary school and to read with immigrant kids, that they are learning the language in a better way. I think it's a relatively small thing, but where you get directly the feeling that there's something going on in the positive field.
Great. Thank you for sharing all this. I do not see any more. Oh, no, there is another one. Connected. No, it's not. It's the one I read before. So I see here Vernon again. We need to curate stories from young people about their decision making and choices about what worked and what did not go so well. I guess we can agree with that. And
I think it's the best when you were learning with some youngsters, then you have your own examples and where you can bring inside the youth organization or the school some examples from your school and say, we had this team, they were doing this and that. I have a collection of examples in my area, and I know that it's very helpful when you explain this to the other students.
Let's take that one as well. Here, there's a question from Sarah. Do you see that? Oh, I read it to you. I'm wondering about social entrepreneurship in authoritarian contexts where participation can actually pose real physical threat, and what kinds of tools or strategies exist for social entrepreneurship in highly oppressive states?
Okay. I do not really see the total context, which kind of states you mean. Of course, I think when you are in the learning process and you want that kids are learning something, you should, if they do not see the potential risk, you should see some potential risk together in the cooperation with the youngsters, that they are not getting in a problematic situation. I think that's an important part. Social entrepreneurship is at the moment a very popular thing in many countries. And I'm sure you would find some areas where it's not problematic for the youngsters when they are working in this area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess we would have to analyze deeper the context which is given here. Great. So we are already over time. I would like to thank, and we don't have more questions, so I would like to thank you, Johannes, very much. I also would like to thank all attendees who were with us today. Some final words. This was the first of a series of 10. We will have 9 more webinars. I really hope you found this very useful. I really loved it. Thank you so much, Johannes. There will be the recording of this session sent to all of you. There will also be in social media on our website. We will promote the other upcoming webinars, and we are very much looking forward to this. So thank you very much to all of you. Also thank you to our partners. You see them here in the slide. The Mott Foundation, Compagnia di San Paoli, also Stiftung Entrepreneurship. Oh, you don't see that slide, but that's, you don't see the logos. Never mind. You see the thank you, which is good enough. Maybe I can make sure that you see it better. I will try it again, because you also have there, you don't see it. Okay.
I say thank you. Have a great.
Now you see the links to our website and Facebook. Yeah, thank you, Johannes. You wanted to say something?
I wanted also to say thank you, and we have National Day today in our country, and so bye bye.
Thank you so much. Bye bye to everyone.